Hi guys, in this lesson we're going to be learning how to multiply integers, and with all the videos, remember the very important tips: watch the video first without pausing it, watch it a second time and do the work with me, and then you can pause it if you need to if I'm going too quickly. Watch the video again all the way through and then attempt the questions at the end before watching the answers. Okay, then check your answers. If you've got any wrong, that's fine. Just make sure you go through the video again and don't give up until you manage to get all those questions correct. Okay, so we're going to learn two things today. The first one is we're going to learn what the word integer means, because that's a really important maths word that we need to understand, and how to multiply using the grid method. And don't forget the challenge at the end. No point in watching the videos if you're not going to do the challenge at the end and put your learning into practice. Okay, let's start then. So first of all, what does the word integer mean? Well, it's quite straightforward really. It's not that difficult. An integer, whoops, and you can write this down, remember. An integer is basically just a whole number. So it's a number without a decimal. So 1's an integer, 2's an integer, 3's an integer, 3,247's an integer. Any number that doesn't have a decimal is called an integer or a whole number. It's just another way of calling a number a whole number. That's all it is. Okay. So we're going to be multiplying today whole numbers. Right. Let me show you first then. So I'm going to do some examples. And as ever, once we've done the examples, you can then have a go. So let's start with a relatively easy one. 28 times 4. And we're going to multiply that to see what that, the answer to that is. Okay, so with the grid method, we literally draw a grid. Now my grid's not drawn very well, but that doesn't matter. No one said mathematicians were very tidy people. As long as we get the question and answer right, that's the most important thing. Okay, so we're going to draw our grid. We're going to put our little multiplication sign there. That's just to remind us that we're multiplying, and I'll talk a bit about more of that in a minute. And what we're going to do is going to split this up into units. So we're going to take our 28 first. We've got 20 or two tens. This is my tens column here, tens, and then I've got my units column here in my grid. So I've got 20 and 8. Okay, so two lots of 10 and 8 units. And then down the side, I'm going to put my 4. So I've got just 4 units, so that's quite simple. Now, the great thing with the grid method is the maths is quite easy. Okay, so all we need to do is we're going to first of all multiply everything on this side by everything at the top. So 4 times 2 is 8. And then all we do is we stick down how many zeros we've got. So we've only got 1 here, so we stick it at the end. So 4 times 20 is 80. And then we're going to do 4 times 8, or 8 times 4 is 32. And then everything in our grid here, we're just going to add together now. And obviously there's different ways of doing that, but I like to do it column way. So 0 plus 2 is 2, and 8 plus 3 is 11. So 28 times 4 is 112. Okay, and that's the grid method in essence. I'll do a couple more one more example, a bit more trickier, and then I've got some for us to practice. Okay, so let's get rid of all of this. Okay, so let's do one more example. Let's do 121 times, let's do 12. Okay, we're going to write a grid. Now, if you notice now, we've got hundreds here, so it doesn't matter what way you put these, but I'll show you. So I'm going to need a bigger grid, and I'll explain why in a minute. So I'm just going to put my times there to remind me I'm times in. Now, it don't matter where I put the 12 or the 121. I'm going to put the 121 at the top. So now I've got hundreds, tens, and units. Okay, because I've got hundreds, tens, and units. I've got 100, 2 tens or 20, and 1 unit. And down the bottom here now, I've got tens and units, right? So I've got one lot of 10 and 2 units. So I've split my numbers up into place order, and I've got 100 and 21 and 10 and 2, which makes 12. And we're going to do exactly the same thing as we were doing before. So I'm going to do 1 times 1 is 1. And then count my zeros. I've got 1, 2, 3 there, so I'm going to put 3 in. Then I've got 10 times 20, so I'm going to do 1 times 2 is 2, and then I've got 2 zeros, so add them in. Then I've got 10 times 1, well that's easy, that's 10. And then I'm going to do my bottom row here. 2 times 1 is 2, and then I've got 2 zeros. And then 2 times 20, which is 40, I'll do that in my head, and 2 times 1 is 2. Okay, so there's my grid finished. Now remember, what I've got to do is add all these numbers up in the grid itself, okay? Not the numbers on the outside, don't forget about those. And another important tip, which I forgot to tell you, is the reason we put times is because sometimes what people end up doing is adding them. So they do 10 add 100, and that would make 110, or 10 add 20, which makes 30. Remember, we are multiplying, so we need to have the multiplication there to remind us, okay? So let's add them all up now. So I'm going to add this row first, and you can do it how you want. Now I'm going to do it in columns, so make sure all the units are lined up. So there's my hundreds, my tens, my units, and my thousands. And then I've got 10. And I'm going to add those up first. So 3 zeros is 0, 0, 0, add 1 is 1, 2 add 0 is 2, and 1 add nothing is 1. So that's that one done. And then I'm going to add this row up. So 200, I've got 40, and I've got 2. Add those up. 0 plus 0 plus 2 is 2. 0 plus 4 is 4. And 2 plus nothing is 2. And then finally, I need to add these two up. And that helps me to add up everything. So I'll do it over here. So I've got 1,210 and 242. Let's add these up now. 0 plus 2 is 2. 4 plus 1 is 5. 2 plus 2 is 4. And 1 plus nothing is 1. So there's my answer, 1,452. So that one takes a bit longer, but that's because our numbers are bigger, okay? And what's really good about the grid method is it's quite simple, but it gets us to practice lots of maths. We get to practice our addition, we get to practice our units. It's a really good way of practicing a couple of different skills, okay? So there's some examples. Now I'm going to go through. Let's get rid of all this. I'm going to go through a couple more examples, and then I've got some at the end for you to try, okay? So let's just get rid of all of these. And let's move on. Right, okay. So here's some examples on the left. Let's get our pen. Right, let's do a couple of these. So we've got 19 times 12. Okay, I'm going to do 2 of these, and 143 times 7. Right, let's split this page up so we can do 2 on either side. So we're going to do our grid. We've got tens and units, so let's draw this out. Remember, it doesn't have to be perfect unless you want it to be, but the most important thing is the answer, right? So it doesn't matter where you put them. I'm going to put my 19 at the top, so I've got one lot of 10. And I've got 9 units, and then down here I've got one lot of 10 and 2 units. So I've got 19 and 12. Now I'm going to multiply those. So 1 times 1, or if you want to be quicker, look, it's just 10 times 10, which I know in my tables is 100. 10 times 9 is 90. 2 times 10 is 20, and 2 times 9 is 18. Okay, and then we're going to add those together. So I'm going to do this row first. So 100 plus 90 is 190. And then I'm going to do my row at the bottom, which is quite easy. 8 plus 0 is 8, and 2 plus 1 is 3. And then finally, remember, we've got to add these two up, to add them all up. So 190, making sure they're in place order. 8 plus 0 is 8, 9 plus 3 is 12, and we're going to carry our little 1 down here, and 1 plus 1 is 2. So the final answer is 228. Brilliant. Okay, let's do one more over here. So this one's a little bit trickier. So we're going to do our grid. Now we've got hundreds here, so I've got to make my grid a bit bigger. Remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. If you draw an extra column, it doesn't matter. You just cross it out or ignore it. So we've got 100 and 4 tens units, or 143, and then over here we've just got 7. Okay, so let's multiply this up. 7 times 100 is 700. 7 times 4 is 28, and then I've got 1 0 to add on the end, and 7 times 3 is 21. And I just need to add these up. Okay, so 0 plus 0 plus 1 is 1. 0 plus 8 plus 2 is 10, carry my little 1. 7 plus 2 is 9, plus 1 is 10. So there we go, there's our answer, 1001. Okay, so there's our 2 answers. That's the grid method for you. There's a couple more, you can try these, you can pause the video if you'd like and try these. It's entirely up to you, I'll leave that up to you. So now, I've shown you the method. In a minute, what I'd like you to do is pause the video. Remember, draw the grid out, take your time, okay, add up each row, making sure you add up all the numbers in the centre. Okay, so now it's time to pause the video, guys. So give it a pause, try the questions, here they come. Okay, so you've got some easy ones, some a bit harder ones, and then some shine ones, okay? So before you pause it, there are some in the shine that have got decimals. If you're not sure how to do those fine. We're going to be having another video. There's another video with multiplying decimals, but I thought I'd throw those in because some of you might like to have a try of those. Okay, pause the video, have a go at the questions. Once you're done, remember, check the answers, unpause it, and see if you've got them right. Good luck. Okay, right, now hopefully you've had a go at those questions. Now I'm going to put the answers up. Remember, if you haven't got them right, that's fine, just rewind the video, have another go. So here come the answers now. So there's your answers, good luck, mark those. And then what we're going to do is, if you've got them wrong, remember, go back and try again. Brilliant. Okay, thanks very much for watching today's video. Remember, there's lots more videos to watch. Remember, maths is all about practice. You can't do something once and think that you'll remember how to do it. You've got to practice, practice, practice. So we've learnt 2 things today. How to multiply using the grid method, and also what the word integer means. Remember, integer just means whole number. Thanks very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. See ya.